Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing to take a look at the next week's slate. Heading down to the Big 12 as UCF heads on the road to play the Oklahoma Sooners. Obviously, Oklahoma coming off a massive win against Texas, coming off a bye. You're probably going to see their best version of themselves. And this is a UCF team that does present some challenges. A really, really explosive offense, averaging 7.4 yards per play. That's number 4 in the country. They have a very good rushing attack. Really excited to get into some of these key numbers and matchups. Now, before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. The support you guys have shown the boys for all of these game breakdowns. It's truly been amazing. The best part about doing this is talking ball with you guys, learning from you guys in the comment section. So one, if you do enjoy the content, you want to support the fellas, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, let me know in the comment section what you guys are looking for, picks, predictions, keys to the game. Without further ado, let's get into this. And I want to start with this Oklahoma offense and just some takeaways from what you saw in the first half of the season, specifically against that game against Texas. And we talked about it last week, but the thing I want to start with is Dillon Gabriel being a gamer. And when you take a look at the boxes you want to check to be a special team. And after watching that game against Texas, this is a legit national championship contending team, right? You just beat a Texas team that I think is a legitimate top 8, maybe even top 5 team in the country. Went on the road and beat Alabama. This Oklahoma team can hang and beat anybody in the country. But it starts with the quarterback, Dillon Gabriel. And at times last year, we knew heading into the season, Dillon Gabriel, extremely talented, right? Accurate, can move outside the pocket, can make those plays. But sometimes in that 2022 year, when the moment was the biggest, Dillon Gabriel did not always play his best football. And when you're trying to win a national championship, when you're trying to win a Big 12 championship, and you're going to be put in a lot of those different spots where the stakes are high and the pressure's on, knowing you have a quarterback that can go in a minute and go drive and score a touchdown to win the biggest game of the season, that's the biggest box you wanted to see checked. We knew Dillon Gabriel was capable of it. We wanted to see him play his best football in the biggest games at the biggest moments, and that's exactly what you saw against Texas. So my first takeaway for Oklahoma is you're really excited about seeing Dillon Gabriel and be the gamer that he was against Texas. Now, looking at this matchup against UCF, if there's one thing Sooner fans want to see a little bit more of is a little bit more of an efficient run game, right? And you're looking at a UCF defense that if you want to build confidence running the football, this UCF defense is the defense to do so. They're allowing 5.3 yards per carry. That's 120th in the country. You take a look at the last couple games. Before the bye week for UCF, they gave up 400 rushing yards to the Kansas Jayhawks, 281 yards to Kansas State. This is a UCF team that I like what they have in the front seven. I do have questions about them playing as a team. Sloppy run fits, missed tackles in space. If you're Oklahoma, I mean, this is about as healthy as your running back room is going to be. You know they've been dealing with some kind of nicks and bruises, I guess you'd say. You want to get Tyree Walker, Marcus Wade Major, Javonte Barnes. You want to get those running backs a little bit of confidence, and you want to get that offensive line some confidence in that run game as well. If there's one thing that I know Sooner fans have expressed a little bit of frustration for, and we said they looked balanced to start the year, but they did struggle to run the football a little bit. You want to see them really get that running game going. The second thing I'm looking at is the wide receiver room, right? With Andrew Anthony going down with the injury, you're going to have some guys step up. Now, we know Jaleel Farouk, he's that wide receiver one, the playmaker for the Sooners. If they need a play, that's another thing you want to note. Talk about another gamer that checks the box there against Texas, Jaleel Farouk. But you're going to need some other guys to step up because it was Jaleel Farouk and Andrew Anthony. Those were the two guys really kind of providing those explosive plays. What we said in the offseason, I think, still kind of pertains. Like in the offseason, we said, this is a really talented room. You just need some of those guys to step up. And it ended up being Jaleel Farouk and Andrew Anthony. Now, you know you have Drake Stoops, extremely just solid wide receiver that's going to make the plays he needs to make. Who's going to be your guy on the outside that kind of steps up? I think Nick Anderson has been playing some really good football. Wouldn't be surprised if he emerges in that role. I'm keeping my eye on Jaquez Petaway, the true freshman that I think struggled to just find the field because Andrew Anthony, Jaleel Farouk, Drake Stoops were playing such good football. Now that there's that opening in that wide receiver room, I wouldn't be surprised if Jaquez Petaway gets some more burn. You talk about game-breaking speed, that ability to kind of change a game with one play. I think Jaquez Petaway certainly has that. Again, we said this heading into the season. It's a deep room. It's a young and kind of inexperienced room, but it's a talented and deep room. Guys like Brennan Thompson, Jaquez Petaway, Jaden Gibson at times has looked good. You're looking for some of those wide receivers to pick up the slack because Andrew Anthony was playing some really good football for the Oklahoma Sooners. UCF's got a solid secondary, but I still think Oklahoma can kind of get after it again. I think it's a really two-dimensional team that can do both extremely well. Now, flipping sides, I want to talk about this UCF offense first. Struggled against Kansas. John Rice Plumlee came back, did not look 100% healthy. Ended up getting pulled in the second half. Timmy McClain comes in. Whoever's playing quarterback for UCF, you know this offense wants to run the football. They run the football 57% of their offensive snaps, and they're very good at doing so, averaging what? They're 6.4 yards per carry. That's number one in the country. We are looking at one of the best rushing attacks that you see across the country. They got really mobile quarterbacks that can make plays in space, and two running backs, and Johnny Richardson and RJ Harvey, who kind of balance each other out really, really well. A guy like Johnny Richardson, he's probably the guy in that Oklahoma meeting room Monday morning when you're going over the opponent. You're saying, we got to know where Johnny Richardson is at all times. He's averaging 8.3 yards per carry, kind of a big play waiting to happen. Oklahoma is going to have to be really disciplined with their run fits, but specifically with these linebackers, because UCF's a team that wants to run the ball in a lot of different ways. They want to attack the perimeter. In this kind of game, like, these linebackers are going to have to play really good football. Now, the good news for Oklahoma, I think they have the best linebacker in the country. And I'm not really just saying that. I truly believe it. You look at Danny Stutzman, you turn on the film and you see it, right? 58 tackles, 10 and a half TFLs. That dude is kind of everywhere on the field for the Sooners. The craziest stat, though, so on those 58 tackles that he has 10 and a half tackles for a loss with, his average depth of tackle is 1 yard beyond the line of scrimmage. So he is basically playing at the line of scrimmage, extremely downhill. You talk about how good Oklahoma has been against the run. I think it's largely the defensive line is playing good. It's a deep unit that takes on blocks, it gets penetration. But Danny Stutzman has been the MVP and some of this defense, and he's going to have a good game against UCF that wants to give some eye candy, that wants to get some misdirection going. Danny Stutzman, Jaron Kanik have to have a big game for this one. I do want to give a shout out. It's my notes. I got my notes from prepping this game and the Texas to what I saw in the Texas film. Isaiah Code, DeJoun Terry, Lacey, like those guys on the inside were so good against Texas. And you talk about, I really do think Texas, one of the best, if not the best offensive line that you'll see all year. And Oklahoma really did hold their own at the point of attack. So I just wanted to give a shout out to guys like Isaiah Code, DeJoun Terry. They played extremely good. Now on the back end, UCF, they don't throw the ball a lot, right? Again, running on almost 60% of their snaps. But when they do throw, they have a very explosive passing attack, right? Averaging 9.6 per yards per attempt through the air. That's top 10 in the country. They got two wide receivers. You could throw in three. Javon Baker, Kobe Hudson, two Power 5 transfers. Well, Javon Baker coming from Alabama, Kobe Hudson coming from Auburn. Two guys that were really talented out of high school, and two guys that really make big plays. Over 20 yards per catch for both of them. Oklahoma secondary, hopefully Gentry Williams back healthy, has been really good, and ball hawking too. And the last kind of thing that I want to note in this game, UCF is turning the ball over 2 times per game. What is Oklahoma doing? They're forcing turnovers 2.5 times per game. That's number 4 in the country. You talk about the culture change from Brent Venables to Lincoln Riley. In that defense, that instead of we're going to play bend but don't break, try to hold teams at 3, we're going to be on top of you, we're going to smother you, we're going to play defense our way. That's what you're seeing. It bit them a lot last year. They gave out some big plays. There were some growing pains. This is the year where you're really seeing that come to fruition, forcing turnovers, forcing negative plays. Getting to the pick here, UCF 19.5-point dogs on the road here. I ain't betting against the Oklahoma Sooners after what I saw against Texas in the last couple games against UCF. Not exactly instilling a ton of confidence. 3 straight losses to a Baylor team that's struggling, Kansas State and Kansas. Give me the Sooners to come out home. I don't really see a letdown game here. You had the bye week, maybe take a couple days and celebrate it. One thing I don't see with this team, especially led by Brent Venables, is kind of a letdown game. I think they're going to be fired up. It's at home with the home crowd. You know the fans are going to be jacked up. Give me Oklahoma 19.5 here. Don't overthink it. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.